Hey, how are you? Hope you're well. My name is Steven Nelson. I'm a really old guy, retired entrepreneur, business executive, college professor. I've done all kinds of cool stuff. And we decided to create a channel on YouTube for us to talk about some of my business experiences, teachings, and learnings, and things like that. And so I hope you'll enjoy this and come back for more musings. Maybe that'd be the word. Today I wanted to talk about planning a little bit. I made the mistake of going out on YouTube and looking up planners and planning and all this kind of stuff. And I ran into Hobonichi Season. Who ever heard of that? And it's basically a planner, Japanese planner with lots of covers. It has basically a cult following, and there's all kinds of videos out there about Hobonichi planners and why you would like them and different sizes. And some people are doing watercolors and they're cutting out things from the newspaper and taping them in there and a lot of crazy stuff. So I just wanted to talk about planning for a minute. And not that I won't eventually go to a Hobonichi, it's possible. They do look pretty cool. But I'm always out on YouTube looking for things I can learn, help me do a better job managing my life and my projects and all that kind of stuff. And I ran into a guy out there named Carl Pullian, and that's how you spell his name. I'll put a link to his channel down below. But he's a really cool guy. He's a Brit, and he's from Korea. And he's got a lot of great advice on productivity and how to manage your time and all those kinds of things. I just really like watching his videos. And last year, in 2024, he had this idea that he was going to move away from all of his digital tools and go to a paper-based planning system. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. He was doing it as an experiment. And so I followed him through the experiment, and he was getting really good results and was really happy about it. And I thought I would follow suit with him. And he is doing his planning using a Franklin planner. Now, this is particularly interesting in my case because, like 40 years ago, I attended an executive workshop taught by a guy named Stephen Covey. Nobody ever heard of him. And he ended up writing The 7 Habits of Really Cool People or some book like that. And really liked what he had to say. And I went to this workshop with him and really got into what he was talking about and Franklin planners. And I haven't used a paper planner for probably 20 years. So with Carl's urging, here's Carl again, I decided I would try using a paper planner. So I bought a Post.Grid daily planner by Franklin Covey, because they bought Stephen Covey. I think they still call it Franklin Planner, but the business is called Franklin Covey. And this is a really nice planner. It's in a dot matrix style, and there's 1 page per day. There's a tab for each month. And I wanted to kind of show you how I do this, okay? And we're going to borrow some of Carl's ideas, and then we're going to talk about how we're using the planner. So just for fun, let's move forward to October. I use the month to kind of write down key things that have got to happen in the month. Mostly things about vendors we have in one of the businesses we own that need to be paid. So I keep track of that and appointments and so forth. I've got, we have to process payroll every 2 weeks. I've got the payroll dates circled in my monthly thing. But what I wanted to show you, oh yeah, one of my grandsons just achieved Eagle Scout, and he's got his Eagle Scout Court of Honor scheduled for October 11th. So I stuck it in the October part of my calendar. But anyway, I am rambling, very like what old guys do. So if you let's take a look at this page right here. We're going to follow kind of the Carl way of doing things. And what he has you do is get a straight edge. And I've got some straight edges here that are bigger than this one. One of them I tried to use a minute ago, and I couldn't even get it to the desktop. But he has you basically take a page And you can do this monthly. Actually, I do it weekly. Every Sunday, I sit down and do one of these pages with 4 squares on it, like I'm showing you. And Carl tells us the upper corner is for core work. This is all the stuff you got to do that's part of your job or a business you run or whatever that might be. And they could include recurring tasks that happen every week, as well as special stuff you got to get done. So I write down here my core work. And then over here on the right side at the top is projects. And so I put in projects and I draw a line under that and I make a list, a bullet list of projects that I have underway that I'm going to spend some time on this next week. Then down here in the lower right is personal. Are there things you got to get done in the next week that are personal in nature? Maybe you need a haircut. Maybe you have a dog that needs a haircut. Maybe you have several dogs that need a haircut. Maybe you need to pay the haircut trimmer for the dogs. I don't know what they are, but maybe you need an oil change, but that goes in the personal section. And then the fourth section over here on the right, he tells us we should label this radar. This is really cool. So this is a list of things that are important that you really can't take any action on this week, but you don't want to forget about them. And so they go on your radar list. So every week I do it on Sunday. Carl does it on Saturday. I sit down and put together a list of core work, projects, personal stuff I got to get done, and radar. And I actually do this and put it inside a clear thing. This is the one for this week, September 7th. This has got my core work, my projects, personal stuff, and radar. Oh my God, I got to fix Liz's car. Okay, well anyway, that's what you do. So you start your week doing that, and then you open to the week, and this dot grid system works out really good. Let's go to a full week. So here is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. There's a full day for each day of the week. Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday, the Eagle Scout day is Saturday, are half pages. And then what I like to do on these pages at the beginning of the week is I draw a line down here. Like that. And I draw one over here. Like that. Let's do that. All right. And then what I like to do is carve off part of the bottom of the left-hand column with another line like that. And over here on Friday and Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to do it too. Like that and like that. I got to move this a little bit so I can get my line in there. And I label these lower boxes tracker. So there's things that I keep track of every day, like the cash balance in one of our businesses. I track that every day. Whenever I send out an email newsletter, I track how many people got it. There's several other things that I track on a daily basis, and I write those down here on the tracker. So over here I've got a tracker. Let me move this way a little bit. Tracker. All right. Then in this upper box, I put down my schedule. So if I've got any appointments for this day, I list those first. And then below that, I list to-dos. I list my to-dos. And what I like to do is, let's say I've got a to-do here on Friday the 10th. I'm going to do something. I don't know what it is. I'm going to call it do something. So at the end of the day, if I get this thing done, I put a vertical line through there. It tells me it's done. And if it's not done, I put an arrow on the end of it to tell me to move it to the next day. And then if I'm not going to do it at all, it gets canceled out, I'll just draw a line through it. So I got schedule at the top, to-dos, and tracker at the bottom. And then on the right-hand side is where I keep notes during the day, anything that comes up that I need to deal with. And I used to do all my notes on 3x5 cards, like the size of my Carl Pullian card. And I got drowning in 3x5 cards. So now what I do instead is I make my notes during the day on this side of the page, right? And then that night, before I go to bed, I move any to-dos I need to move over to the next day. I check my schedule. It's wonderful. Now, because we did the core work thing and the project thing earlier, right? Carl would tell you what you need to do is map these things onto your calendar. When are you going to do whatever it is that's in the core work? For example, I send out an email newsletter on Thursday night. So on Thursday during this week, I've got down here, I'm going to write in here that I got to send out my email right here. I haven't put my lines in here yet. I'm deficient on this tab. Here's my line. I got to put my tracker in. So one of my to-dos for Thursday is email newsletter. Okay. So in summary, what you do first is you figure out your planning grid from Carl. Core work, projects, personal, and radar for the week. And then you map those into your weekly schedule. I mean, that's how I do my planning. That's what Carl taught us, to manage my time and do my planning. And I'm not doing anything with watercolors. I'm not adding any stickers. I'm not cutting out things and pasting them. I'm just writing down what I got to get done for the week and mapping them into my calendar. This is how I do it. Oh my gosh. Thanks for watching.